I was 9 when my dad first declared that I would become the world's next Einstein. My dad said to me, I have accomplished so little in life, except for raising you. You are my greatest accomplishment. As a kid, I was thrilled to hear that. Oh my God, I am my father's source of pride. In fact, right then and there, I decided, now this is my life's mission. I will never let my father down. At 13, I moved by myself from China to the United States, not because I so badly wanted to live with my mother, whom I hadn't seen in 10 years, but because I thought, if I wanted a shot at becoming the world's next Einstein, I better go to MIT. If I want to go to MIT, I better be a high schooler in America. 7 years later, I was graduating from MIT and bringing my dad and my stepmom to San Francisco. By then, I had something I needed to tell my dad. You see, at MIT, I discovered science really isn't my thing. As strange as it was for an immigrant and someone who speaks English as her second language to want to be a writer is what I wanted to do. To my surprise, my dad had a little something to share with me too. He said, you know, I'm no longer so attached to you becoming an Einstein. It would be okay with me, you know, if you wanted to be more of a Zuckerberg instead. Well, I thought, okay, I'm not really a Zuckerberg either, but I can work with this. You know, if I just write a novel so amazing that it's as influential and life-changing as Facebook, then, you know, everything will be okay. So with that exact mindset, for the next 7 or 8 years, I woke up every day trying to write. And of course, that meant I finished nothing. So I gave my dad very little to boast about. I became afraid to talk to my dad on the phone. In 2020, I met a PhD student. Her name was Taylor, and she said she pursued her field of study not because she thought it would afford her the highest chance of success, but because she thought the research itself would be fulfilling. I thought, come on, you're saying that to sound cool. Be real. What's the point of being human if you can't be successful? She thought the point of being human was to be human. Soon, we did the very human thing of falling in love. As our relationship deepened, I considered telling my dad. Around the same time, China began cracking down on LGBTQ groups, and homophobia propaganda was everywhere on the Chinese social media, among the Chinese immigrant community. But I thought, okay, don't be afraid. On the phone, my dad was silent for a few minutes. Then he said, how can you do this to us? How can you be so cruel? A few hours later, my stepmom called to say, by being gay, you're plunging a knife into our hearts every day. It took me a little while to absorb what had happened, because it was precisely the outcome I had spent my entire life avoiding. And suddenly, I brought pain and shame to my family, but not like the way I'd imagined. In my imagination, it had always been my fault. But loving a woman? As much as I wanted to blame this one on myself, I had lived among queer people and allies in America for too long to not know that this one, I did nothing wrong. Taylor told me, you know, it might take a long time, but one day they will come around. They will accept you for who you are, because that's what parents should do. It is June 2020 in Iowa City, 10 months since I had last spoken to my dad. I'm walking down the street, seeing pride flags flying everywhere. And it occurs to me that I have never given a thought to how the LGBTQ rights activists won their victories? Well, I realized they won because they had an intrinsic sense of their own worth, their own right to be, a conviction that could not be taken away by an outside force. Of course, this celebration would be called pride, because pride is something you give to yourself, something you don't let another person take away. And I think to myself, if I can believe that loving a woman isn't my fault, then maybe one day I can believe wanting to be a writer isn't my fault either. I don't know when I will talk to my father again, but I know this. When I do talk to him, I will be a different person because I will have had the opportunity and the necessity to find within myself an intrinsic source of pride. Thank you.